And here we are. This is week 3, episode 3 of the Bedtime Battle Fantasy Football Podcast. I am DT, joined by Tim, Jason, and Travis. We are going to get into or quickly go over the week 2 matchups of our redraft league, take a look at some players that may that the top 20 or so that may be draft values, or take a look at where they are differentiated from their preseason ranks. And we may get into a little dynasty tonight if we have the time. But yeah, let's take a look here at our week 2 matchups and how they ended up. Jason and I were completely blown out in both of our matchups. Didn't do anything much helpful in either of those games.
All the points count. All the points count.
They do.
Wearing my bag of shame.
Need all the points.
0-2, lost by 200 points to Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bass was tapped.
Travis looking good in second place.
Amon-Ra St touchdown.
Who you drafted right after I took Juju Smith-Schuster. Bad decision by me.
Yep. Oh, so many bad draft decisions. But
get down.
Going into week 3, we gotta throw all those out.
Can I just make I just want to make a pronouncement. Amon-Ra St. Brown is my favorite football player. Let's go.
I like him. Him. I like the fire, and I like the way that he plays and remembers everyone in that wide receiver class that was drafted ahead of him. He can name off exactly where they went in the draft ahead of him and to what team. So that dude came to play.
Good genes. Got good genes. His brothers in the NFL, and his father is Mr. Universe.
Mr. Universe.
And his brother scored touchdowns in week 1, minutes apart from each other. Different games.
David T, he is precisely petty. I like it.
Good alliteration. To start us off. Speaking of St. Brown, this is sustainable, you think, for the rest of the season? I mean, the Lions are, a very competitive team, and they have a lot of good fantasy options. If
Goff wants to remain a starter, he's got to target that dude.
Yeah, him and Swift.
And wait until Swift gets really hurt. So it'll be St. Brown, Chark, and then don't we have a Williamson coming up around?
Jameson Williams coming back. Probably
Williams.
Week 6 or 8, something like that.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
As they say on many podcasts, wheels up for the Lions offense.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of my biggest regrets, and it's not that I don't love him. I was really into Swift this season. I think the value that you could get on Swift, and I was bullish on taking 2 Lions, and now I regret not taking 2 Lions. They're a high flying offense right now, and they're a fun team. So
top fantasy offense, just like the Washington Commanders somehow.
Hey, victory lap.
And Joe Flacco.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Former Baltimore Raven, former Delaware Blue Hen. Clock.
But yeah, looking at the matchups, a lot of blowouts and a lot of very close calls. Emily crushed me. Probably the biggest blowout I think I've ever seen in the Juicy J redraft.
Yeah,
it's got to be close.
We can get that. We can
beat me by
that,
nearly 200 points.
An 80-point difference on just the quarterback, with Lamar Jackson at 85, Ryan Tannehill at 5.
Wow, look at that lineup. she's got there. And a reminder to listeners, this league, we have double points for quarterback, wide receiver, and running back and tight end. So if that's looking a little ridiculous with the numbers there, but we like it. Everybody likes scoring points in fantasy, and this is who doesn't like scoring double points.
Right.
DT,
Then,
could you click on her bench
yeah, I want to see that.
just to see what the depth
To
is
see
like?
if she had a couple 0 points there. She had a negative 0.4 from Schultz and 0 from Alberto.
Okay.
Couldn't have been too much better, but McKinnon with 15 points.
The top 4 players could win this league alone.
Right. She doesn't need a bench.
Mhm.
As she's shown by the empty bench spot right now.
I also really like that her team name is still named after her kicker, with the best roster in the league so far. She has tight end issues, much like most everyone. If you didn't draft Andrews or Kelsey, I have Pitts, and I'm not happy about his output so far, but they are playing the Seahawks this weekend. So
I touch on just tight end in general and my own challenges that I'm facing right now. And I'd love to get your take on it, but I have been rolling out Cole Kmet in multiple leagues, not just this league. And he has given me a goose egg 2 weeks in a row. And yet when I go to the waiver wire, there is not anyone that I'm confident about dropping him, because I know as soon as I drop him, he'll probably finally actually get a catch. And it might be 15 yards. And yet that might be what I could get from any tight end. So I'd love anyone's take on, what are you doing with tight end? Is this a year that we regret not paying up for the top tight ends?
Well, touching on Kmet, I think you have to hold him there. He's gonna, I see him as the probable top receiving option on that team. You've gotten nothing from the Darnell Mooney, and it is an awful offense for sure. But he does have upside. He didn't catch a touchdown last year, so that there seems to be, touchdown regression has to be in his favor at some point, coming back to the mean there. But very, very disappointing. I think you could say that about tight end in general.
I feel like you said, there's Andrews and Kelsey, and then nobody else, right? So I don't know if you necessarily regret not drafting Kelsey and Andrews, but you might regret drafting Pitts or Kelsey or Kittle, or like kind of the next tier.
Who's hurt right now? He was in
you could pick up anyone on the waiver wire, and those guys are just as good as those tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 guys. So and I mean, when you I don't want you to go back, but on my team, I think I have 5 tight ends, and they're all this like Hayden Hurst, who else do I have? Irv Smith Jr., and Gesicki, and basically everyone on all the tight ends on my bench scored a touchdown last week, and the guy who I started did not. So
of course,
I feel like that's gonna, but they all had like 30 yards and a touchdown. So I feel like that's kind of, and I feel like at this point it's like you expect your tight end to do nothing, and if they happen to score a cheap touchdown, then you're happy.
Pretty much.
4 or 5 years ago, the top tight ends were piercing into the top 12 wide receivers. It's not, Kelsey has maybe aged out of that, and Andrews, there's Lamar is progressing. Lamar is looking for other options downfield, which he needs to do as a QB.
Yeah.
So maybe it doesn't just have to be so concentrated. He still loves Andrews, but
not so much as that perennial safety blanket that he's been using him as the last few years. And just to chime in as a Pitts drafter, I'm full of regret for who I could have picked up there at running back or wide receiver. Yeah, good idea. Tim's getting into
Pitts
that.
is never the problem. Pitts is never the problem. This is a Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota.
Man, like Pat Freiermuth, the third highest scoring.
He has that third
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Njoku have that third game in there right
Yeah.
there. But I mean, Taysom Hill is in, and OJ Howard.
Oh my God,
I mean, Everett. You could have predicted. You could have predicted that with
a little bit. I mean, he was
Herbert
on
at
some
least.
sleeper list, but
Yeah.
The OJ Howard rostered by 6% of fantasy teams on Yahoo.
Mhm.
Outstanding.
And he's on Rick's team.
yeah. But even like Logan Thomas and Go Dirt have the exact same fantasy points, and I think Go Dirt was a huge sleeper. I was trying to get him, and I was upset that I didn't. And he's just one of those other dudes, like Tyler Conklin, Higbee.
Seahawks
Yeah.
duo that
Yeah.
all came in one game.
Yeah, tight end is a wasteland for sure. Kittle's been out the first couple weeks, and since Trey Lance is out for the season, I do expect Jimmy Garoppolo to be utilizing him more than Lance had. So, I mean, if you can get an offer in for Kittle,
trade for Kittle now.
If you can. I mean, that owner's probably
he's
pretty salty that
right.
he's missed the first couple of weeks. So
then yeah,
held him. So that's possible. I would be selling Gerald Everett at this point with Keenan. Tim, Keenan is looking to play this week, right?
Sounds like it, yeah. But
like
my bigger question.
Gonna play?
That's my bigger question. Is I think he's going to play, but he's going to be playing in pain. And so, will they rely more on the run game, or will they rely more on the Everetts of the world? At least, I could see Keenan Allen coming back and having a huge game because he runs those short routes.
Yeah.
I think that they are going to play the short game to get the ball out of Herbert's hands so that he's not getting hit.
All right. So blow up game for Austin Eckler upcoming for Sunday.
Yeah, they're playing the Jaguars. So, that's a team who could go either way right now. We're not really sure.
With their
but
Christian Kirk, future Jaguar Ring of Honor player, Christian Kirk. I hate Dynasty this year.
I was just going to say thank you for that trade.
I hate Clyde Edwards-Helaire is having a career year, apparently, because now we're going to throw him the ball.
Yeah, full disclosure.
Now we're going to give him those little underhand, like dinky dunk things they would give to Tyreek Hill. Oh, Clyde could do that.
Yep. Travis and I made a trade a couple weeks before the season opened. I sent him Zeke and a third, I think, for Christian Kirk and Clyde. And I was just looking, as we will probably get into. My team is awful, so I'm just looking for youth and upside. And
sorry, younger viewers. Hey, Andy Reid.
Younger viewers should have gone to bed by now.
Yeah,
that's right.
Battle.
Tim, can you look at the QBs?
Yeah.
Top QBs.
So tight end.
I was gonna say, and this is probably because I got destroyed last week and went against Lamar Jackson and I had Kirk Cousins, but it feels like, maybe when looking at the numbers, they don't look that big, but it felt like there was a lot more top heavy, or there's been a lot more top heavy quarterbacks, and I was starting to think of next year and wonder if the wait for quarterback game was going to be kind of ending, but maybe
Mhm.
not. Looks like,
Tua.
yeah, there's
Tua.
still a lot of those.
T-Dubs target. Tua.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't watch him play last week, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, but it's about his weapons a lot more than the skills as a quarterback. Anybody who drafted the receivers on the Dolphins is got to be thrilled right now
Oh, yeah.
with the output that they're
He can sustain both.
Yeah.
I think that's the key,
Totally.
right?
totally.
And he did it in the
All-
same game.
All summer. He can't sustain both. The math doesn't work out. There's no way. There's a way.
But it's making
And-
sense because they are not running the ball at all. They're just chucking it.
Because they
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
50 attempts.
50.
It's ridiculous.
Solid.
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but I expected a lot more of a rushing defensive focused attack from the Dolphins, and they're playing Buffalo this week, so don't expect the same output, but they're gonna have to play
Buffalo's
catch up.
Buffalo's
They're
got
gonna
4.
need 35 points.
Buffalo's got
But-
4 starting guys on their defense out this week.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Talking Yeah.
About a team that doesn't run itself. So
Yeah,
right.
it's gonna be
And
it's gonna be an interesting game.
I think
They'll
Mike,
have 50 attempts.
yeah,
Mhm.
I think
Well,
Mike McDaniel's our next coach who's playing Madden right now.
They'll need 50 attempts. Like you need 35 points.
Yeah.
You probably need 40, but
Well,
target
looking at this schedule for Tua as well, he's playing Buffalo and Cincinnati in the next couple weeks, but then the Jets, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, all before the bye, and they come back to play Houston.
Yeah.
That's a very favorable
Mhm.
schedule for Tua.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Rough playoff schedule though. At Buffalo, probably going to be 0 degrees. Green Bay, although it's at home, and then at New England, probably the weather's going to be a
That's
factor.
horrible.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a good point. If he is your backup quarterback, which many people drafted him as, he is someone to consider selling
Oh,
high
yeah.
on at
Unload
some
him.
point.
Mhm.
Definitely.
So who's gonna slip out of this top 5, and who's gonna take over after this week? Do
Yeah.
you guys think?
I mean, I think-
you
I mean, I-
come and then you wince.
Yeah. I mean, I think it looks pretty clear where Mahomes obviously is gonna Mahomes. I mean, yeah, and then Herbert, of course, the health is the big question, but if he's healthy, I mean, he's gonna move up. Kyler's been kind of weird this year.
The greatest 2-point conversion
Yeah.
of all time.
Yeah.
Like he was running around the yard like my son in the backyard.
Mhm.
It was ridiculous.
Speaking of quarterbacks, we did have a listener question. Let's see, I'm checking my phone here. This is from Candle,
Shout out
and
to
she
Kendall.
was asking about her upcoming matchup with Jason. She has Tom Brady starting, and asked if she should be starting Wentz over Tom Brady. And
Speaking of that matchup,
Mhm.
Kendall and I are both 0-2, 12th and 14th place. One of us will be 0-3, and season may be over.
It's
First step, Candle, is getting Renfro out of your lineup. He is officially out.
I might keep him in, Candace.
I know Candace wants direct answers.
hard man.
So yeah, here's
Hard
my
man.
my advice was to her. Let me know if you guys agree with it or not, but Godwin's been ruled out. So the only person that the only receiver that even has a chance to have a good fantasy week is Julio, who is still questionable. So my advice was to her is just to monitor the status of Julio, and if he's not playing on Sunday, I would definitely switch Wentz out for Brady. It's not an auto switch for me because the Commanders are playing the Eagles, which have a much more stout defense than who Tom's going up against. But what do you guys think? What do you think about Brady in general this year? It's looking a little rocky.
It's looking rocky, but I mean, like you said, the teams have been beat up, the receivers have been beat up. New Orleans, both games were on the road. New Orleans is a good defense. Yeah, it's been ugly, but also they've won both games, so he's done enough to win. Right. So I mean, I'm not worried about him. It's disappointing, but I don't think he can sell.
Yeah, you're looking at they gave up 3 points to the Cowboys.
Right.
They gave up 10 points to the Saints. That has nothing to do with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady steps up, he rises to the occasion. That's what he does. And if the Packers can figure out a way to score against the Bucs, which who knows if they can, but if they can, I think Brady's going to step up and he's going to make the plays he needs to play to at least be competitive in the game.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing right now, though, with this team is they are running on this defense.
Yeah.
And if Brady doesn't have to be big, then he won't be big. Yeah, and you look at the efficiency on this 18 for 27 and 18 for 34, both 200-yard games. Like, he's had the pass attempts to have better games and he's not having them. So if he's having a hard time right now, as from what I hear, he's sleeping on the couch, and so that could be impacting his game. Like there is that mental piece.
Yeah.
And so you have to look at the other option, which is Carson Wentz, which can be viewed as a revenge game. He's going to Philadelphia. Does Carson Wentz step up to the occasion? I don't.
Yeah,
and it could go either way on that. And
where is this game?
Are they're home against Philly?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
They're home against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Still a revenge game for him.
Yeah.
But I would like to quickly point out, because we know that Renfro needs to be benched.
Yes.
I'm putting, this is a deep start of the week for me, but I'm thinking JD McKissick could have a big game. And you're thinking about Philadelphia. Philadelphia is going to put up points against the Eagles, against Washington, like they're doing against every other team. McKissick is the garbage man. Carson Wentz is the ultimate dump off garbage man. He had
target his running backs. Yes,
he had. What was it? He must have. I think he had like 8 targets or something last week. And if that was in a game where they were playing from behind against Detroit, they'll be playing from behind against Philadelphia. So I don't see a world where JD McKissick scores less than the 9.5 projected. And I think he's a good bet for someone who, obviously this isn't PPR. Otherwise, I'd be much higher on him. But I see a world where McKissick could have a bigger game because Antonio Gibson likes to fumble the ball. And they're going to be playing from behind. So
loves it.
Yeah.
I might take that shot on a McKissick over someone like a Hardman, just because I think that there could be that high garbage volume when you're thinking about someone that you need to put in your flex.
Yes. Yeah. I would also, the last update on Judy, just looking at her team, he is looking questionable, may not play on Sunday. So yeah, I think you could plug McKissick in and the flex there. I also, I think that Olave has reached every week flex status for me. So that's an option as well. And yeah, I would probably At this point, we're recording on Friday night. I would put in Carson Wentz over Brady in what will be, probably a really competitive game. I'm not sold on Carson Wentz still, just because of his
Because he's Carson Wentz.
Because he's Carson Wentz. His downfall has been it's been pretty precipitous from when he was back with the Eagles. Not a great season last year with the Colts, but I do think that fantasy wise, and this is about weapons. He has he has 3 receivers that are all very, very capable with taking that ball and taking to the house. So I would definitely put Wentz in there too. As a side note, I would also take Higbee out of your tight end slot and put Zach Ertz in. I think that the Cardinals are going to have to play catch up a lot with the Rams.
I am full Wentz. Full.
Make the switch, Candle.
The over under is 47.5 in the Eagles Commanders game. 42 in the Packers Bucks game. More fun.
I'm not going to comment on this.
No.
More fun in DC.
Can you comment, Jason, on your recent acquisition of Marlon Mack and your expectations for him in that 49ers backfield moving forward?
I have no expectations whatsoever. Didn't even think he was going to get signed off the practice squad, but pleased that he was. See what happens. I mean, a little flyer.
Does Marlon Mack have an apartment in every city in the United States?
The answer is yes.
Jesus, man.
He's like, the sad thing is he's probably like 25 years old.
He's just living on Tinder.
He's been around. He's been on so many teams and he's like 25 years old.
You hit up my girls in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
I might be around for a couple of weeks.
Jason, you've also got Zamir White on your bench.
Yeah.
I know that
Starting
Josh
now,
Jacobs
right?
he's starting now.
That's what was so last thing I saw was that Josh Jacobs did not travel to Tennessee. And their only other running backs are Zamir and Brandon Bolden, I believe.
Yep.
So
who's on my team because running backs are scarce.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about Tannehill?
Not good.
Thunderstorms.
Not good. Yeah. Not feeling good about many things.
No.
On my team, other than James Robinson. It's the only guy I feel
right.
It's the only guy I feel pretty good about. At least Pittman's healthy, but yeah, it's rough. And I know whoever I start at tight end is not going to do anything.
I think you got the right guy in there for now.
Yeah.
Irv is getting got a few targets last week, and
then against Detroit too. It's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, I was listening to a couple podcasts earlier who were quoting I forget the name of the coach in Minnesota, but that they were doing what they said they were going to do with him having that hand injury coming into the season, is that they were going to work him in slowly, and that is kind of how it's panning out, with not a lot of action in week 1, but getting more targets in week 2. Irv Smith is a guy that I can't quit on for some reason in redraft and dynasty. James Robinson has exceeded everyone's expectations coming back from an Achilles injury, and
Achilles
has looked great. Has looked like his old self. Are we expecting? What are we expecting going forward with that with James Robinson? And is this a sell high opportunity? I know not in this league, because we are always scratching and clawing for running backs, but let's say in dynasty, what do you guys think about him going forward? Is this a sell high moment for James Robinson, or is he going to continue putting up those numbers?
I mean, I think,
Numbers.
yeah, he hasn't shown
Go
any
get
reason
him.
why he wouldn't, right? He's put up numbers every time he plays, and he got hurt, rehab, and he's doing the same thing he did before he got hurt. And that offense is young and it's getting better and better. So
He should get bonus points in fantasy for being the only running back to come back
Right.
from Achilles and
yeah,
in 1 year
Right.
and
and
like
look
his
exactly
former
like
self.
he did before. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Trev.
If Devin Singletary was in Jacksonville, he would be James Robinson.
Breaking news in Juicy J's redraft league. Intruders just added Austin Hooper and dropped OJ Howard. So everybody looking for tight end help immediately go.
Top
and
10 tight end just got dropped.
that with that waiver bid. No, I'm joking. OJ Howard is trash. Okay.
Yeah. Should we look at what other matchups do we have next week?
Hey, go to my matchup.
Yeah,
I have a quarterback question. I'm starting Rodgers, but he, just like Brady, has everyone is going to be sidelined on Sunday. I think they've already ruled everyone out, other than Romeo Doubs, and I'm wondering if I should put Jimmy G in over Rodgers this week.
Not against it. Trav, you brought up that the over under I think was like 42, and I'm doing the math on that, and I don't see that game being a 21-21 type of game.
No.
I see that game being a 17-13 game. You don't want to be on the games that are field goal heavy potentially.
Right.
And a team like the Packers, where they are missing offensive weapons, they are relying heavily on Dillon and Jones to run the show, and playing against a tough Bucs defense, you could see the Packers settling for a lot of field goals.
True. That's true. Garoppolo's going up against Denver, who is still they not sure what we're going to be getting out of Denver, at least in my mind.
Their defense has been spectacular, save for like 10 penalties against the Seahawks.
It's hard though. They played the Texans and the Seahawks.
Right. And
Touche.
I mean, Gino.
Touche.
Yeah. I mean, Gino looked good for like a quarter and a half, and then they woke up and they've been good since then.
Yeah.
Okay. You look at these Jimmy G, it was against the Seahawks, but he came in pretty strong, having not played, having been injured. He has time to prepare. It's Kyle Shanahan that, they're gonna game script it to benefit Jimmy G. And if Kittle comes back, then
I think he's confirmed he's playing this week.
Yeah, he was active. Yeah,
they said
I mean, the Buccaneers have tattooed Rodgers the last 2 games.
That's true.
I would go Garoppolo, and I cannot believe that I'm saying that out loud.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sitting
considering
Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
I mean, I would also go Garoppolo, mostly because you are projected to lose by what was what's the current
points.
matchup? Yeah, like 20. Yeah, so you're like
playing from behind.
Update. Yeah, you're playing from behind, so you got to go. I mean, Rodgers would probably be the safe-ish
9 points
bet.
Soda.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I think he has I think, like you said, kind of weird to say it, but I think Jimmy G definitely has the higher ceiling.
Yeah, Rodgers is going to throw for 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Jimmy G could pull off 4 touchdowns because two are jet sweeps where he tosses it forward to Debo
Right.
Samuel.
Yeah,
Right.
He had a
Okay.
rushing touchdown against the Seahawks.
Mhm.
that's right.
Trey Lance light.
All right. Okay, that's good. I can't stand looking at my
God, look at
team.
that Amari Cooper doing stuff.
Yeah, it's weird.
Amari Cooper left
Yeah.
for
He
dead.
was- he could have had a much bigger night too. He was still doing, I watched that game for some wild reason, and he still had a couple of big time drops later in the game that would have tacked on probably 40-45 more yards for him. But yeah, great game for Cooper. Jacoby was slinging it as much as Jacoby can. That was a weirdly emotional game for him
Yeah.
on Thursday. I like seeing it.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll, take the hint.
But he ended up
Right.
with what, like 220 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is the most Jacoby
Yeah, of
Brissett
course,
stat
of
line
course.
of all time. And that's what he does every week. He's a pretty consistent guy, but that's what he does.
Pete Carroll, let Gino
Mhm.
cook.
Anything else we wanted to highlight? Do you want to
Yeah, go back to the matchups real quick. I think, yeah, those were. I don't think there's any matchups between 2-0 teams. The only, yeah, just the
Should have been.
0-2. Yeah,
Buddy he's the sacrificial lamb this week going up against Emily.
yep.
Oof.
And he, yeah,
Tapping
could be 0-3.
that bass.
Drafts aren't terrible. I don't know.
Chubb has already done his job.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah,
think
Schultz
he's-
might not play, but you know what? Who cares? She doesn't need him.
It's tough with the Monday.
Lazard's not
Just-
playing either.
Just bench him. Bench Lazard, bench Gainwell. She's still gonna win.
Yep.
I thought Lazard was gonna play.
Come on.
Lazard is off the
Oh.
injury report.
Interesting.
Wide receiver and 3 line. Yeah.
I think Lazard is a big play this week because with Sammy Watkins out. I highlighted it in my snap count recap, but Lazard went from not playing to like 82% of the snaps. So he is the clear number one.
Yes.
Sammy Watkins stayed in the 60 range on both, and then all the other players dropped down. So clearly they were cobbling together for Lazard, but Lazard is the number one guy there. So
Absolutely. Buddy, get Rashad Penny out of your wide receiver or your running back spot. I think Ken Walker is going to take a step up.
Yeah.
But it's still a muddled backfield on a bad offense. So Chase Edmonds,
DJ Moore is going to get that Lattimore treatment.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
No, thank you.
Kamara's still banged up. CD, yikes.
CD deserves better.
Yeah.
Like, CD should be Jalen Waddle.
Mhm.
Yeah, he should be. But he's never really he played with Cooper last year. Is he really profiling right now as a number one receiver on his own team? I know they've got big issues at the quarterback position.
It's not happening without Dak.
No, well,
I think this is something you always have to look for when a backup quarterback comes in. They thrive with the backup wide receivers, and Noah
Right.
Brown, like they are playing on the same second team in practice. And you're seeing that connection between Cooper Rush and Noah Brown right now because
Mhm,
they've
mhm.
played a lot during training camp together. And and you hope over time that they start developing more rapport with the true starter. But as of right now, clearly Noah Brown is his safety valve and not Ceedee Lamb.
Noah Brown scooped up on the waivers. I put in a 0 bid. I was wrong.
Has
So
has anyone's dynasty, staying on Ceedee Lamb for a moment, has anyone's dynasty radar or rankings rather gone up or down with his long-term outlook? I'm just thinking that, you know, a highly drafted, he's had huge expectations,
Yeah.
and you know,
Got the
wide
target.
receivers drafted like that have a tendency to elevate their team. Like Michael Pittman, Matt Ryan is awful, but
Right.
you know, Pittman is QB proof. He's been playing with Carson Wentz and in Matt Ryan, and I just haven't seen that type of play from Ceedee Lamb and I'm not biased either way. I don't have any CD shares, so you know, is this more concerning past 2022 for you guys, or are you staying the course with CD from a dynasty perspective?
Well, speaking of CD Dynasty, I do have CD in the GCJ Dynasty League, and
Yeah.
I am down on him, but I think I'm down on him because I was way up on him. So I think, you know, after Amari, so I traded for CD last, or I think right after the end of last season, but that was before Amari Cooper was traded. And so then after Amari left, I was really high on him because obviously he was turned into the number one. And then, but now it's like, now I think it's, I mean, I'm kind of back to par with him, but I think I'm more now concerned about just the Cowboys offense in general and Dak. Like his Dak, I mean, Dak's not, I don't know how good Dak is. So I think I'm more so concerned about Dak, which then obviously would affect CD.
CD's agent needs to get him to the Chargers,
right,
or Baltimore. Like, the agent needs to do some work.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not definitely, but I mean, he's a buy low, I guess now, but I don't know if I'd feel good about it, like getting him, right? Like,
and Tim, you're highlighting
each
this
game. That
11
is,
targets.
yeah, I didn't know that.
I mean, he's getting fed like a wide receiver one,
right?
But 2 receptions in week 1, 7 receptions in week 2, which is more encouraging. But that's kind of why my initial question was like, you know, with his NFL career, I know he balled out in college, but with his NFL career so far, is he really profiling as a wide receiver one, not in fantasy, but just on his own team? Is he that type of player that is going to be able to be a cornerstone of your dynasty team, as well as, you know, being kind of the sort of player that elevates, you know, a shitty offense like the Cowboys?
Is Gallup coming back this week?
I think so.
He's close.
Yeah.
So that will either help or hurt CD. Gallup's on the other side of the field. Oh, we got it. Oh, what's happening?
But I think,
So that would help CD.
But I think when you're thinking about dynasty though, like I don't think anything that happens before Dak comes back is going to mean anything for his long-term value, right? Like I want to see when Dak comes back and is healthy and they get a couple games under their belt. Because, you know, he has not played as the number one with Dak for more than a half, right? I mean, we have a very small sample size of that, and it looked really bad. But if that's, you know, in theory, in Dynasty, we're thinking about, okay, well, how's he going to look next year with Dak and the year after that with Dak? And we haven't seen him be the number one with Dak. I don't know. I think, and you know, this is his 3rd year, so that's when lot of wide receivers break out, and again, we just don't have any information yet because
Agent,
Cooper Rush is in
get him to Seattle with Bryce Young.
Oh yeah.
But that's
Get him to Jacksonville. Like,
those true difference makers, that wide receivers, they don't care who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yep. That's what
Like,
I'm touching on. Exactly. Tim.
If he got 7 catches for 75 yards, he's not doing his job after the catch.
Right. Garrett Wilson is balling out with
Yeah.
Joe frickin' Flacco.
Yeah.
You know, they're just, Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins is
Right.
fine, but he really
Yeah.
like he commanded those targets. I just don't see
Drake
watching-
London is doing it with Mariota
Right.
right now.
it's happening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I missed out on Drake London. That mistake.
Yeah.
I'll call
So,
that right
yeah.
now.
In a nutshell, I guess I have some concerns about just his long-term, just what you want to do with your dynasty team, and if you want to make him like that centerpiece of yours, and like what he is profiling to be. And I think that's a really balanced take, Jason, to we got to see some time with him and Dak, but Dak didn't look good either.
Right.
So yeah, I just a quick.
So he's a
dynasty.
wild card. Yeah, he is a, I think, a polarizing.
He's not
Dynasty.
the wide receiver one you paid for,
No.
Right.
right?
No.
Like, I think that's the key. Is can he be your wide
he has-
receiver?
Yeah.
Wide receiver 2, sure.
Yeah, it's clearly not lived up to the
Yeah.
expectations. So
Yeah,
could he possibly? But
yeah. But
it's looking
you
less
s-
and less likely.
Yeah. Could you sell him as a wide receiver 1 right now in Dynasty to someone? Probably.
Probably you could. Yeah.
If
No.
Clyde
And you
Edwards
might-
Hilaire was a
you
wide
said, yeah.
receiver,
Yeah.
he'd be Ceedee Lamb.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, David, what you're going to say is this might be a time actually to sell him if,
Right.
if there's still that,
I think so.
that upside, because once
He's
Once
young.
Dak
he's
does
getting
come back.
fed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once Dak does come back, if he still sucks, then you're really gonna have a hard time trading him. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd have to look up his numbers, but could he just become that next Brandon Cooks, where he's getting you the 1,000 yards every year, but not getting you the 12 touchdowns and 1,600 yards?
I think saying Brandon Cooks and Ceedee Lamb in the same sentence for dynasty owners.
Yeah. So whereas he's a guy you're like, yeah, I'll play him,
Right.
but he's not going to be the one that wins me the week.
Right. Okay.
I'm pulling up his stats now just to run it by, but
Devonta Smith or CD Lamb in dynasty?
okay, can I give you the stats on Lamb real fast before we
Let's
go
go.
on? As a rookie, he had 74 catches, 935 yards, 5 touchdowns. 2021, 79 catches, 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. So far, that's very Brandon Cook's numbers. So if he doesn't elevate from that, then you might just know his floor and ceiling.
Solid
Yeah.
wide receiver too.
Yeah. But not what you, not what you
yeah.
paid for him.
I
mean-
can't have someone who has my body type as a player of my fantasy team. So I will always go Ceedee Lamb over Devonta Smith. I'm scared to watch him play football.
Well, Devonta has been. I mean, I think his stock has dropped more than CD's, right? Yeah, because.
That's
But I think. I think that Devonta's. I think they've gone equally. I mean, so CD's value right now versus Devonta's value preseason probably about the same, I think. But then now Devonta's had a horrible start.
He's he's literally, he's in the shadow of AJ Brown.
And with Devonta, there's really no excuses, right? Like, I mean,
but it's where you drafted them. Would you rather have paid a 2nd rounder for CD or an 8th rounder for Devonta?
He has the body of a 6th grader.
Yeah.
He does.
And
He does.
Devonta had what?
Like-
he had 0 catches week 1. What did he have?
And
Like
I think he was
40
like
yards?
7 for 80 last week, actually.
Oh, really?
And I know that because I pulled him from my starting lineup on Monday night in favor of McKenzie because Gabe Davis was out, and then I lost by less than a point. And
Yeah, lovely.
just those decisions you
Yes.
make. But
Yes.
he did end up doing fairly well.
Huh.
But
I do own Devonta in your dynasty league, Jason, and I would pick Devonta over Ceedee Lamb going forward. I think that with Jalen Hurts developing as a passer, being very young, there's a lot of upside looking forward, and he doesn't have to perform as that 11 target wide receiver one. I long-term outlook, I actually do prefer Devonta to Ceedee. I don't know if that's a hot
David
take or
T,
not.
as Jalen Hurts progresses, Jaquez Watkins is going to score some touchdowns.
He could.
As I will say, pickup of the year.
Quez Watkins. Okay.
Victory lap time. Victory lap. Victory lap. I'm going to run around that a little bit. Gabriel Davis, my favorite former NFL player.
Quez
Ankle
Watkins.
hobbled. Could not play. Quez Watkins picked up by me.
That is true. And you started him and you beat me by 0.4 points in our dynasty.
Lead.
Travis, Quez Watkins or Devin Duvernay, rest of season?
Oh, Duvernay is filthy. That's an easy Duvernay.
Okay.
Duvernay. It sounds like something you spread out over your bed, like a Duvernay
Yeah.
was the idea.
Yeah.
Duvernay cover.
That talking about Quez reminded me about something I did want to talk about briefly. Is who has been like waiver wire, and everybody every year we have our waiver wire stars. Now in this league, this redraft league, it's very, very deep, and so there's not much out there on the wire. But still, if you even think about things in terms of like a 12-team redraft league with like 6 bench spots, there's still really hasn't been a player yet, unless I'm totally blanking on someone, which I could be.
for $100 bid, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, T Higgins.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Got him.
There's your waiver wire star. Jason.
Yep.
But other than that, like even especially the running back position this year. I mean, I know Elijah Mitchell's the only running back injury that we've had, serious one this year so far. I mean, that's going to change, but is there? I feel like the plan for all the teams in this league is to just be a week ahead on injuries, and everybody does know the backfield depth charts on the teams, so there's less of a chance of somebody blowing up. I have Jordan Mason everywhere because Jeff Wilson's going to get hurt. Spoiler alert: Jeff Wilson is going to get hurt at some point.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Who can you see right now breaking out that is a waiver wire player for a regular 12-team league, that you can see either from the wide receiver or running back position? Do you guys have any guys that you're really high on still, or is there some surprises coming?
I've got two. My guy Pacheco.
Okay.
Like, you just don't get slow.
Yeah.
And I mean, good for Clyde, but come on. You're 5'2".
Yeah.
You run a 6'8" 40.
Oh, the Clyde hate is so strong. I love it. The salt.
We're gonna pop that balloon, and they're gonna be, oh, this dude is fat. This dude should have the ball. So
Yeah.
Pacheco
Well, but
is number one.
you can flip off Andy Reid again for this, but his usage has been not great. He's still behind Jerick McKinnon, as the
Because he
the
should
change
be.
pace guy. Well, yeah, and McKinnon's going to get hurt as well. But his opportunities have come, really late in the game, as a product of I know there was a blowout in week 1. Are you thinking that Pacheco has a chance to maybe even compete as a 1B to Clyde's 1A?
This, like, Andy Reid is finally figuring it out with Clyde.
I think so
Why
too.
not just figure it out right now with this dude? Like, save yourself a couple of years, save yourself like some contract money. Like, come on. The other one is, how many people have probably dropped Pickens in their leagues?
Yeah.
I won.
Yeah.
And I want to pick it back up because he had a tweet or something like, I don't know, someone tweeted or something like, hey, I'm always open.
That's good or bad. He could piss a lot of people off by saying that.
I think Deontay Johnson feels that way too. I saw a lot of
Yeah.
frustration
Always
from him.
open.
But no, I think with, oh, go ahead, Trav.
I believe George Pickens.
Yeah. And yeah, I think
do the ball.
I think George Pickens, I think, when you're looking at, running backs, I think we know the game, right? You pick up handcuffs. It's nothing really is going to happen unless there's an injury with running backs, right? Like, it's not common that you see a backup running back just outplay a starter and then they take over as a starter, right? Like, that doesn't really happen usually. But I think so. I always look at just the rookie wide receivers, right? Like, if there's any rookie wide receiver, and there was a lot of good ones this year, that weren't drafted in fantasy.
People gave up on quickly.
Right. People gave up on quickly. They didn't get many targets. Like, even like Traylon Burks, like, he hasn't really done much. He might start doing stuff. Pickens. There's, even like taking a flyer on Jamison Williams if he's available. In a shallower league, like, unlikely not going to be drafted since he's out for the first 6 weeks or so. So, and I would look at a lot of the rookie wide receivers that were taken and snatch up a couple of those guys.
I think to that point, I remember in my keeper league last year, I got Elijah Moore and Amon-Ra St. Brown on my team later on because guys gave up on him. And that's the exact reason, Travis, I've been hanging on to George Pickens in my keeper league this year, just because they do take time. They take time to develop, and you don't want to give up on them early. And I think last night shows exactly why. He went from 3 targets to 2 targets to 7 targets, had that phenomenal catch. And I am anticipating Pickett is going to come in sooner than later. And they did show rapport in preseason. And so I think, Pickens is one for me. Another one that I'm kind of watching, and I think he's probably a 50-50 bet on whether he's available, but Tyler Algier. And I want to say that he's worth a shot if he's available, because he went from inactive first game. Cordell Patterson had an amazing game. And yet they came back in week 2. Algier played and he got 10 carries. He wasn't super efficient, but I think this is a Falcons team that has to see what they have in their younger players this year to determine their needs next year in the draft. So I can see Algier getting a decent load because long-term Cordell Patterson is not the answer at running back. And if they can figure out if Algier is, then that's one less position they need next year. So
Algier on the boy band roster available for trade.
we're just highlighting your bench roster right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
The depth of your team.
I like
Say-
Rashad White. This year, not to say that good old Lenny's gonna get it hurt, but he just profiles as a different sort of running back that could actually take some of the passing load. But I mean, the usage so far, with Leonard Fournette catching 7-8 balls in the last 2 weeks each week, doesn't bode that great. But Todd Bowles, I think, is going to want to run the ball as much, especially to mask some of the injuries happening, both in the wide receiver room and on the offensive line in Tampa Bay. I can see them, especially if they're wanting to take a playoff run, to ease up on that workload with Leonard Fournette, and give him some opportunities to catch some balls, maybe be a JD McKissick type, which isn't a league winner. But from the running back perspective, you guys did a good job of highlighting some of the possible, blow up wide receivers this year. But I'm really reticent to see any running backs that could take over and be that sort of impact league winning player for you in the stretch run. I know it's early, but it's been pretty traditional for us to have had 1 or 2 running backs to come out of nowhere and kind of set the tone as far as what you're expecting out of the waiver wire. And that still hasn't happened yet. It might still, but I think that Rashad White is a guy that I like to finish the year strong.
We all want the demise of Lenny.
Oh, big time. Yes. I drafted him in TPR Dynasty and sold him right after he got traded. Horrible.
He is the Homer Simpson of running backs. Like, it's
the Homer Simpson.
He's been here for 23 seasons. What? You can't stop Lenny.
No, and he looks good.
Like,
I hate to admit it. He was a very hateable player.
Yes.
But damn, he looks pretty good.
The dude knows his job. He knows his job. Like, I'm gonna blow up to 300 pounds. I'm eating steak and shrimp, and I know in August 3rd,
the name Wan'Dale Robinson got thrown out, and I want to highlight that a little bit more, just in thinking. This was based on my quick snap recap, because I had to highlight the fact that, and this is a potential deep league dart throw. I highlighted David Sills the 5th from the Giants because he had 92% snap count, which is ridiculous. And it was highlighted because I'm pulling this up right here real fast, but Kadarius Toney had 38% snap count. Kenny Golladay went from 77% to 3% snap count last week.
Yikes.
I don't know what's going on there. I heard that Golladay was like cleaning out his locker. It was just like, I'm done.
He left, yeah.
And so, I highlighted David Sills because he was the one that jumped up to that 92%, even higher than Sterling Shepard. But like, that tells me that Wan'Dale Robinson, the rookie they invested in, who was out last week, should easily, if he's active this week, he should easily walk into that David Sills role. David Sills is not their guy. He's a 6'3" guy, but I'd have to assume that Wandale would take over that
Mhm.
snap count directly.
I agree. I like Wandale moving forward, and they, the Giants they hate Kadarius Toney
For
with
whatever reason.
whatever reason. That'll be a good.
Is he friends with Devin Singletary?
Yeah, they hate Kadarius Toney. The Giants do. So yeah, I do like I like Wandale as a deep league dart throw.
But I think everyone we've brought up, this just highlights the impact rookies can have, and the lack of patience. A lot, like we all get excited about the rookies and drafting the rookies. That's what we want to do, but people get very
Sexy.
impatient with them if they don't perform in the first few weeks, and yet there's more reason than not to be patient on them. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
Never heard of David Stills before. Sills, yeah, 6'3", white wide receiver who wears the number 13, Odell Beckham's old jersey. Father, David Sills the fourth.
So many cells.
Oh man, he's got a tight end neck.
Yeah.
neck.
I love that he wears Odell's 13.
Yeah, this was the first time I was looking at snap counts, and I like froze. I was like,
Like, who's
this guy? But 4 targets, 3 catches, 37. Like, is this our next Wes Welker?
Pick him up.
Yep.
Maybe. Daniel Jones.
Or Sills the 6th or 7th. They're coming.
Yeah.
It's required by family law now. Like you don't get the
Oh,
estate.
yeah.
If you...
Oh yeah.
Well,
all right. Well, it's we were planning on going over this in 20 minutes, and it has now been an hour and 10 minutes.
okay. Yeah, I think
There's not
we'll-
enough hours in the day to
know.
talk fantasy football.
Yeah. See,
There is not. There are not. Grammar, whatever. We'll do that.
I love
articles.
having this show too, because even we're all, other than a boy band, we're all kind of struggling, not too much to be excited about, but we can still sit and
Amon-Ra
watch fantasy.
St touchdown.
Is he available, Travis?
He's always available.
Okay.
Everybody's available. Don't tell me I said that, but everybody's available.
Yep.
Now that OJ Howard is available, I'm getting a recommendation to add OJ Howard and drop Cole Kmet.
Well, they really want you to drop Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, I really want him to
Or
just
being
be
patient with him?
inactive. I can't drop him in a league like this, but I can't say that I am excited. And I think there's a difference between impatience and knowing when the team just doesn't have him in the plans, like Pickens isn't putting up the numbers, but he's on the
Clearly
field.
there. Yeah.
Tolbert, I don't know. Noah Brown supplanted him immediately. Gallup is coming back.
Oh no. Get away from Dallas. Get away from Dallas. If you have like a Jalen, no. If you have Ceedee, of course you're going to stick around and see what happens. Pollard, that might work out. But if you have any other Dallas like stuff, leave.
Yeah, but when they're healthy and active, it's
Not a good sign.
Yeah, totally. Well, I have 2 more names very quickly, and then let's get out of here. We're talking about rookie wide receivers. I know that he's hurt, but Kyle Phillips, what do we think about him on the Titans?
He's muffed 3 punts now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how he plays. He's looked ugly. Like, I feel like any highlight I see of him is him muffing a punt. Looked great week 1 when not receiving punts, but
He looks like Tim.
yeah, it does a little bit.
right after I say he looks ill.
I was gonna say he looks like Sheldon.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
No,
Like, yeah, I mean, on Tennessee with like, Traylon Burks, clearly their guy that's developing. And then they got Robert Woods coming back from injury and being worked in, and Tannehill sucking. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't mess with him.
Okay.
I was going to bring up
Or-
Christian Watson.
Hmm,
He might be available in a lot of leagues, and
that's true.
he looked. I mean,
Definitely
his
available.
his one highlight of the year is him dropping that, surefire touchdown.
Like 60-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And but
Definitely.
I think
available.
he's been hurt. Yeah, I mean, he might be a good flyer.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Last name, this is a running back, but who is going to have some opportunity this week. Zamir White. He's not available in this league or most of the other leagues that we play in, but he is.
Got him.
Yeah, we talked about how, I think Jason, you brought this up, that they're, without the running back one on the team getting hurt, there's not much chance for these young running backs to stake a claim. But he will have some opportunity. I don't know why his projected totals are so down.
Yeah.
They're not just going to run Brandon Bolden out there. So if you are in a short league with short benches, or have guys like me that are all on IR, pick him up if you haven't already, and just see what happens this week. I don't think the Raiders organization is a huge fan of Josh Jacobs. They didn't pick up his fifth year, right? His fifth-year option. So
it's a weird. So he's officially listed as questionable with an illness. He didn't go to Nashville. This doesn't mean the Raiders won't bring him over Saturday or something.
What?
Interesting
Something.
interesting reporting.
Or someday.
Yeah. But it would seem like a pretty big sign that he's not going to be playing us.
Right.
Yeah, you can't play if you're not in Tennessee.
No. Yeah, they just ghosted their running back there. So yeah, look out for Zamir White on your waiver wire. That's about all I have for tonight. Do you guys got any other last minute?
Stack attack.
Okay, let's do it.
I have another unique stack attack. I'm always looking for different ways to kind of think about how we play this. I gave that example of Russell Wilson and McAnus and how I love stacking a quarterback with a kicker. Every once in a while, I'm faced with the decision of having a quarterback and a defense special teams going against my quarterback. And I actually love that. I am not against that, because if my quarterback throws a pick, I don't lose any points because my defense scoops up those points on the back end. So my stack attack this week is I'm big on Joe Burrow this week. I think he makes a comeback. There isn't any reason he shouldn't against the Jets. That being said, Joe Burrow's been sacked 13 times in 2 games, and he's thrown 4 picks. So if I'm getting Joe Burrow, he's getting sacked a bunch and he's throwing a pick or 2, even if he is having a big game, I want to scoop that up with the Jets defense. So
nice.
That's another approach to a stack attack for those of you out there.
I love it.
Yeah, very creative, Tim. Yeah.
I
Just
love it.
I'm keeping this bag near my computer for next week in case I lose to Candace and am 0-3. I will be wearing the bag the entire show.
You
All right.
deserve it.
Yes.
You deserve it.
I think that'll do it, you guys. Thanks.
Yep.
We are out of here. Bedtime
battle.
Look, good luck in week 3, everybody.
Gotta go to bed.